Davos is one of the oldest and most fashionable resort towns in Switzerland, with a reputation for excellent skiing, freezing temperatures, and as a playground for Europe's elite. This is not just what Davos is known for. It has always been the meeting point for global leaders, business and political elites, and of course, members of the Fourth Estate.
If we make the right decisions, we may also see more of what has been a small but discernible trend, where some jobs that were once offshored are coming back from east to west.
Innovation is the only way to consistently add value to your products and services in an increasingly competitive global economy.
For almost half a century, except in 2002 when the World Economic Forum was held in New York as a gesture of solidarity with the United States following the 9/11 terrorist attacks, the annual meeting has always been held in Davos with one main host, the World Economic Forum Executive Chairman, Professor Klaus Schwab.
A very cordial welcome to the 44th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum. I give you just a small advice for the meetings this year. You have to bring with you 4 different things to make it really successful. First, bring your brains, bring your soul. The third thing which you have to bring with you to make it a successful meeting is your heart, passion, compassion. And finally, I think you need good nerves. When you bring together 2,500 people, it will require, from time to time, good nerves.
The World Economic Forum annual meeting consists of some 250 sessions designed to reshape our world.
Inequality clearly was one of the key topics that matter to the business and societal and government leaders here. The jobs and youth unemployment problem is a key issue, and bridging that gap between employment, education and the skills gap was another one. And maybe a third one, on a more positive note, is that the conversations now morphed from a more crisis-focused conversation to more of a recovery conversation, how the economy is recovering rather than how we deal with the crises.
With over 2,500 delegates at this year's annual meeting, Nigeria's strong delegation led by the President, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, is a scene to behold, especially with the finely woven mufflers distinctively announcing the rich colors of the oil-rich nation with loads of economic potentials to showcase.
It is a very crucial session for the President today, because he's not going to just be talking to participants about what issues have come up globally, but he's also going to try to encourage and market Nigeria to prospective investors who will be part of the participants sitting in the audience.
Discuss the next billion.
At one of the sessions, titled Africa's Next Billion, panelists agreed that Africa needs to create an enabling environment for domestic and foreign investment so that the continent can realize its full potential. Africa's population is expected to rise to 2 billion by 2050, and so the foundation for sustainable and inclusive growth must be laid.
Before you talk about economic growth, the political stability is key, because investors who didn't want to invest in areas or countries that they don't know the next president, they don't know the next policy, they don't know the next law that will come up. And now most African countries are relatively stable to play. But policies and programs of government are key to encourage investment. And of course, like most African countries, we take Nigeria as an example. Before this time, government has monopoly of almost everything. But now we have opened up the ports, the airports. You must create wealth in our societies. It means that you must, in terms of education, in terms of skill acquisition and creating opportunities. Before this time, African countries deal with primary produce, either raw farm produce or raw minerals. We are busy exporting crude oil. We're supposed not to export crude oil. We're supposed to export refined products.
President and Chief Executive Officer, Dangote Group, and co-chair of the meeting, Aliko Dangote, pointed out that most people underestimate what Africa can be. Bringing it home, the business mogul believes foreign investors will only be attracted to the Nigerian economy if domestic investors take the lead.
We have a big market, not only 170 million market, we have 320 million market. You know, we are talking about ECOWAS community because once you are in Nigeria, you can access freely the other markets of 14 other ECOWAS countries. With this, when you look at it as at today, okay, what attracts foreign investment? What attracts foreign investment are the locals. If the locals are invested, obviously money smells money, you know, money will follow. So it means that they will also come in and invest. Another thing is to look at what are the incentives. The incentives of Nigeria, they are great, really. I mean, they are there, you don't even need a partner. So a lot of them we've been telling them that why don't you come and invest? You know, I mean, visit Nigeria. And a lot of them that have actually taken the chance of visiting Nigeria, their views had actually changed. And that's what we have to keep doing. You know, in a forum like this, we keep telling them what we have. You know, we must sell ourselves.
Nigeria is projected to rank among the top 20 economies by the year 2050, and the driver may just be in this sentiment echoed by other members of the Nigerian delegation.
We do have, seriously, rate of return on investments in our country has been rated by UNCTAD and others as the fourth best at over 30%. We have a population of 170 million people. We're a lower middle income country. I think the opportunities are coming. However, that's not what excites us. We are here to talk about, you know, post-MDGs. We have to admit that our growth has come with a lot of inequality, that we are not creating enough jobs, that it's not just good enough to grow. We have to focus on the quality of that growth. And if these investments can come to help us finance the investments in agriculture, to help us in housing, these are areas where you can make a material difference in creating jobs for poor people, as well as creating a social safety net.
Nigeria is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. We have grown at an average rate of 8.8% over the last 10 years, while for return on investment, we rank number 4 globally with an average return rate of 35%. Nigeria is stable and strong, and there has been unbroken democratic rule for the past 14 years. The government is continuously providing an enabling investment environment with corresponding regulatory framework. Nigeria appreciates the opportunity to build partnership with global entrepreneurs willing to invest in our country.
Coupled with the policies, most believe economic growth should be championed by the private sector.
You cannot grow any economy excluding the private sector. You cannot do that. You'll be shooting yourself in the foot. They are the investors, they are the drivers of this economy, and they must be encouraged in every possible way to for the interest of the overall economy and the larger majority of the people. What Nigeria's private sector has always asked for is, again, one, the right policies, secondly, a strong regulatory environment, and then and then they just allow them to be regulate, but create the policies, don't interfere unnecessarily, and you see the transformation that will take place.
And government's collaborations with the private sector has not gone unnoticed.
Nigeria presents another reason also for being celebrated in the World Economic Forum, because, Mr. President, I see your philosophy and ours is identical. It means that public-private partnership can achieve the best results. You are believing in public-private partnership. The World Economic Forum is based on private-public partnership.
Agriculture, the bedrock of Nigeria's economy before the discovery of oil, also featured prominently on the Nigerian agenda. The Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, believes the more farmers are empowered, the faster wealth creation and a more attractive economy.
You have growing urbanization, you have growing middle class, the demand for food is rising, the demand for fish and poultry and beef is rising. And so we really have to significantly raise the productivity of agriculture. And that means that we have to more than double the production of food that we are currently doing now. Africa is where most of the land is, to feed the world by the year 2050. It's not in America, it's not in Latin America, it's not even in Asia, it's right in Africa. 65% of all the land, it's that arable land. Now, but for us to feed the world from Africa, it means we ourselves have to change how we look at agriculture, not just in Nigeria, but in Africa globally. But in Nigeria, we are leading the way in Africa in changing that perception that agriculture is not a development activity. Agriculture is a business. As we run it as a business, we get improved seed, fertilizer manufacturing companies, storage, processing, value addition to everything. We unlock wealth for ourselves. And so that is my message, that the world needs to do better with agriculture. We have shifted away from agriculture as a development activity to agriculture as a business. And the numbers tell it all. The taste of the pudding is in the eating. You take a look at Nigeria today in terms of what has happened. First and foremost, the number of seed companies in Nigeria grew from 10 when we started 2 years ago to 70 today. You look at the investment by the private sector, in particular, and actually Nigerians, that makes me excited, in fertilizer manufacturing is $5 billion from Aliko Dangote, Indorama, and also from Notori. You look at bank lending to the sector. When I started, when the president started the transformation agenda 2 years ago, just close to 0% of the total bank lending was actually going to my sector, agriculture. Today, 4.5% of total lending by banks in Nigeria, that's well over 320 billion naira, is actually coming into my sector, which is fantastic. So this means that it's working. And not only is it working in terms of money, it's working in terms of food production.
Such positive words indicate an equally strong optimism about growth in Africa. Following on the heels of the success of this year's meeting, Nigeria prepares to host the 25th edition of World Economic Forum Africa for the first time.
We see Nigeria as one of the possible contenders to really champion this positive growth of the future, and we hope that the business community and the civil society there and the population and government leaders will feel that the forum will bring something very positive to their interactions and to Nigeria, and how they feel this will contribute to the future of the country and the country in the context of the continent.
People are very excited and enthusiastic, and it's important to note that this is the first time that the World Economic Forum in Africa is happening in West Africa. And this is also a time when West Africa is particularly exciting as a sub-region in Africa, because it's the fastest growing sub-region. And so this is truly West Africa's moment and Nigeria's moment to shine, and it's a great coincidence that it coincides with the 100th anniversary of Nigeria.
The timing is seen as a fine opportunity to view Nigeria in a new light.
First of all, we're very glad that the West Africa, as we call it, is coming to Nigeria. I think the timing is right, and for Nigeria it's also a great time to take advantage of this wonderful opportunity where the whole world is looking at Africa, but specifically at Nigeria. The stars are aligned, as they say, for things to begin to happen. So I think it's a great opportunity. In terms of responding to that, I believe that a lot is being done. Nigerians, we have the art and the ability to get up and rise up to the occasion whenever the time is right. For the whole world is seeing Nigeria in its totality, about understanding what we are about beyond economics, beyond politics and so on, and just saying that we're a nation of people.
One of Nigeria's biggest player in the financial sector has high expectations.
And so it's a very good opportunity for us to network, but more importantly to also listen to global leaders and see where the world is going into, and also benchmark against some of the things that you think we are doing in Nigeria, and you think is out of sync, or just to also speak to global leaders and share their own thoughts and views.
This is a meeting the President, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, is looking forward to hosting.
We are absolutely excited about the opportunity to host such an important gathering of global business leaders and heads of government, and to make a strong business case for Nigeria as an investment destination of choice, and to expose Africa's economic potentials to the business world. Because of that, I personally reached out to a number of African heads of states, and most of them have accepted to come so that they will use that platform to expose what their various countries have for the world. We hope that at the same time, it will provide additional opportunity to showcase our rich culture and tourism potential. As the largest market and the most populous country on the African continent, Nigeria possesses strong demographic dynamics in addition to vast natural resources, which translates into significant economic potentials. All this makes Nigeria one of the most attractive emerging market economies, and indeed, one of the fastest growing economies in the world.
As investments are expected to rise, the capital market's ability to absorb financial shocks are also investors' concern. This includes monetary policy decisions that affect key sectors.
The regulators, especially the CBN and the SEC, have implemented a number of rules to make sure that some of the root causes of the meltdown we saw in 2008 are properly regulated and the risks are mitigated. So margin loans, share buyback, restrictions on the types of securities that you can take margin loans on. Greater enforcement with regards to activity of operators. All of these things have helped, and as you know, the stock exchange itself has done its bit to make sure that we enforce our rules, that we come up with new rules that put a bright light on what is right and what is wrong, and we continue to come up with new rules. We wrote about 30 rules last year alone. AMCON has cleaned up the banking system. As you know, bank stocks are the most active stocks on the exchange. So there's been a lot of cleanup, a lot of regulation, and a lot of efforts to create transparency in the system. Our markets returned 47% last year, 2013, and in 2012, 35%. These numbers are quite impressive by international standards. We continue to remain one of the top 10 performing exchanges in the world. And we were able to let the investors know that as you come to invest in Nigerian markets and in the Nigerian economy, a listing option should also be on the table with regards to using local financing to drive some of the expansion, some of the new initiatives, some of the infrastructure projects that these international investors would be looking to unfold in Nigeria.
The world is going through a tightening period, monetary tightening. You're also beginning to see the impact of oil discoveries in various parts of the world, the shale oil, gas, and so on. In the midst of all of that, you also have declining oil demand for oil. So when you consider all of these things, it cannot be business as usual for any segment of the world, including Nigeria and the rest of the world. So yes, it would be nice to listen and be part of the discussions to shape the future of not just the world, but the part of the world in which we live.
The continual expansion of the different sectors of the economy also provides immense opportunities.
The ICT sector, in terms of growth, it's a tremendous growth opportunity. And because we have, even though we've done very well, we still have very huge areas of opportunity in the ICT sector. For instance, we need to build our broadband infrastructure. That's a big opportunity. We need to have more Nigerians owning devices. And we said we're not going to import them anymore. That's a big opportunity. We have a lot of young software developers who are innovative and creative, who need venture capital. That's another big opportunity. So we're going to use this whole being here at Davos to encourage more investors to know more about Nigeria, more about the ICT sector, and hopefully bring them into Nigeria.
The economics speaks for itself. A country that requires 15,000 megawatts with 5,000 installed capacity, okay, privatizing its own infrastructure. Surely, if anybody is looking for a great opportunity, they have a fantastic opportunity in Nigeria. Because how many businesses do you ever see where the day you start, you know you have 75% of your demands yet to fill? You know, and there are very few destinations in the world that have anything like our own resource base, our own gross product like we do. Nigeria is a $350 billion economy, but we still run diesel generators. It's actually an anomaly. So from a business perspective, there's probably no better place to invest in power like Nigeria in the world today.
Over 200 international and local journalists will be in Nigeria for the World Economic Forum Africa, and Channels Television is the host broadcaster.
You're talking about the huge conglomerates in the media industry, European Broadcasting Union, CNN, Bloomberg, and CNBC and Reuters, AP. Look at the myriad of equipment here. These are the things that we have to put in place as well. It's going to cost us a lot of money. We've been working on that for some time. We're also seeking sponsors to help us, and we've been having very good responses from corporate Nigeria and from the state governments in Nigeria. And we are also going to be extending the technical expertise to some of our friends abroad to join us and join hands with us in making sure that the WEF Africa is a success. We are not leaving any stone unturned. We are going to be more than ready. We're working day and night. We've set up a committee to look into this over a period of time. We have a couple of consultants who've been asked to join the fray. And, it's all coming together, but it's a huge responsibility on our neck.
Nigeria will be in the spotlight of domestic and international investors as the world converges on the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, for the World Economic Forum Africa in May. This event provides an opportunity for economic diplomacy for Nigeria, as a successful hosting of the event, according to economic watchers, will further boost the appreciation of Nigeria's economic reforms. It will also enable the country attract new investment and strengthen efforts to diversify the country's production base, generate employment, and attain the goal of inclusive growth.